woman hooked her arm through Miriam's. "The entire town has gathered. We are all so happy for our doctor. He has needed someone for such a long time." The crowd followed behind as Miriam was led up the street. "The town must be very fond of Dr. MacNamara." The woman gave her an amused, sideways glance. "I am certain you can call him Gideon." Miriam had never called any of the doctors she'd worked for by their given names. She knew social niceties were often more lax in the West, but being that familiar would take a great deal of getting used to. And yet, winning Dr. MacNamara's trust was crucial to her success in Savage Wells, as was, apparently, enduring the crowd of people keeping pace with her nameless guide. "I hadn't expected such a welcome." She hadn't wanted one, truth be told. "We are so happy you are here. Ever since Gideon told us, we've been beside ourselves trying to think of a way to welcome you properly, to support the both of you." All of this over the arrival of a nurse? Either this was the most friendly town in all the world, or the most ill. They continued down the street at such a fast clip that Miriam hardly had time to register the buildings they passed. She would need to take time later to familiarize herself with the place, perhaps sketch the main street so she could commit it to memory. Growing accustomed to the horde of people would take a bit longer. She hoped they wouldn't follow her about on a daily basis. Secrets were far more easily kept from a distance. "Does Dr. MacNamara see a lot of patients?" "Oh, yes. He is the only doctor in 100 miles, further in some directions. People come from all over to see him, and he travels all over to see them. He is sometimes gone for weeks at a time." That was precisely what Miriam needed. Solitude, quiet, peace. The asylum had never been peaceful, not ever, and every movement, every breath, every word, it seemed, had been watched and controlled. In Savage Wells, she would finally be free again. The older woman led Miriam toward a schoolhouse, one surrounded by wagons and buggies and horses tied to hitching posts. More people gathered around, adding to the crowd trickling up from behind her. "Oh, Mrs. Wilhite!" A woman older than Miriam, but not nearly as old as Miriam's companion, hurried up, hands clasped in front of her. "Is this Miriam?" Mrs. Wilhite, it helped having a name for her guide, nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, isn't she lovely? She seems nervous, though." She turned her gaze on Miriam. "Are you nervous, dear?" Several dozen people were watching her, most of whom had followed her all the way from the stagecoach. "I am, a bit." "Well, what woman in your situation wouldn't be?" Mrs. Wilhite patted Miriam's hand. "But we can assure you that Gideon is so kind and gentle and caring. He really is a wonderful person." She was glad to hear it. Dr. Blackburn at the asylum had been nothing short of a monster. Mrs. Wilhite still had one of Miriam's arms hooked through hers. The newly arrived woman claimed Miriam's other one. Together, they pulled her toward the schoolhouse. "Have you met Sheriff O'Brien yet?" the new woman asked. "I have not even met Dr. MacNamara yet." "He wouldn't miss this, I promise you." The two women laughed. Miriam wasn't sure what was so amusing. They quickly took the 3 stairs up to the schoolhouse and stepped inside. Flowers filled the interior, and a shocking abundance of ribbon framed the windows, tied in bows along the rows of benches, and adorned the lectern at the front of the room, as well as a nearby table that held a cake and punch bowl, along with piles of plates and cutlery. Savage Wells, it seemed, spared no effort in welcoming a new citizen. Mrs. Wilhite remained at Miriam's side, though her other companion slipped away into the crowd. The townsfolk trickled in, filling in the rows of seats. She received smiles and hand squeezes and an unending supply of "Welcome to Savage Wells" and "So pleased to meet you." She had accepted the job in Savage Wells in part